I sat at the mahogany conference table in the title company's office, the weight of a Mont Blanc pen heavy in my hand. My father, Robert, sat to my left, adjusting his tie. My sister, Bella, was to my right, already taking selfies. We were there to close on a renovation loan for the family home, a loan I had agreed to back. The title agent, looking uncomfortable, slid a document across the glass. "Just a small change to the structure," she said, her voice tight. "Your parents are transferring the deed solely to Bella for asset protection. You'll just need to sign here as the financial guarantor." The room went silent. They were giving the house to my sister, but handing the debt to me. I looked at my father. He didn't even blink. "It makes sense, Elena," he said. "Bella needs the security. You have your career. You can handle the risk." The audacity wasn't just insulting. It was precise. Drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from right now. I'd love to know who's part of our community. I didn't flip the table. In my line of work as a financial risk analyst, you don't react to bad data with emotion. You react with an audit. Cap the pen. The click sounded like a gunshot. "Asset protection," I repeated, my voice flat. I retreated into my mind, pulling up the mental spreadsheet I'd been keeping for a decade. The ledger of invisible labor. 2 years ago, I wired them $28,000 for emergency medical bills. I never saw an invoice, but I did see my father at the casino the following weekend. I marked it as a loss. Then there was the $18,000 for the roof repair that somehow also paid for Bella's trip to Tulum to build her brand. I glanced at Bella. She was typing furiously, probably drafting a caption about homeowner vibes. She was the asset, the golden child, the investment they protected at all costs. And me. I was the utility. I was the electricity bill they expected to keep the lights on but never thanked for the illumination. For years, I told myself loyalty was a currency that would eventually buy their respect. But sitting in that cold office, I realized I had fallen into a trap. I didn't pay their bills because I was generous. I paid them because I was conditioned to believe my only value was my utility. If I stopped paying, I stopped existing to them. My mother, Mary, reached across the table. "Elena, honey, sign the papers. We have a lunch reservation." She looked at me with that familiar, anxious expression, the one that said, "Don't make a scene, just fix it." "You're putting the house in Bella's name," I stated. "She's an influencer," my father said condescendingly. "Image is everything for her career. Owning property stabilizes her portfolio. You have a salary. You're fine. So Bella gets the equity, and I get the liability." "Your family," Bella chimed in, not looking up. "Why do you always make everything so transactional?" Transactional. They were asking me to sign a 30-year financial death warrant for a property I was legally being evicted from, and she called me transactional. My father tapped the table. "We don't have all day, Elena. Sign it." It was a command from a man who hadn't paid his own mortgage in 4 years without my help. The conditioning screamed at me to pick up the pen, to save them from the awkward silence, to pay the rent for their love one more time. But the analyst in me saw the projection. This wasn't an investment. This was a Ponzi scheme. And I was the last investor in. My gaze drifted to the pen. I looked at my father's arrogant face. For the first time in 29 years, the balance sheet in my head finally zeroed out. I stood up. The chair scraped against the floor. "Elena," my mother asked, "what are you doing?" I looked at the title agent. "I'm not signing." My voice was steady. Sounded professional, detached. Bella finally looked up. "What? You have to sign. The contractors start on Monday." "Not anymore," I replied. "Elena, don't be dramatic," my father snapped. "Just sign the damn paper." I saw the fear behind his arrogance. He knew he couldn't qualify for this loan on his own. His credit was a disaster I had spent years trying to fix. "No," I said. I turned and walked toward the glass door. "Where are you going?" Bella screeched. "You're ruining my brand launch. I already posted the teaser." "Figure it out," I said over my shoulder. "You're the asset. Leverage yourself." I walked out of the office, leaving the silence behind. My phone started buzzing before I reached the elevator. Texts from my mother about embarrassment, from Bella about jealousy, from my father banning me from Sunday dinner. I stepped into the elevator. I didn't cry. I didn't feel guilty. Felt lighter. When I got back to my apartment, I went straight to my desk. My apartment was minimalist, clean, organized, my sanctuary. I opened my laptop and pulled up the spreadsheet of family finances. It was a complex web of autopays and authorized user cards I had set up to stop their bleeding. Now I saw it for what it was. A life support system for a parasite. I started clicking. Cancel. 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 I removed myself from their utility accounts. I revoked Bella's authorized user status on my Platinum card. I placed a freeze on my social security number. Then I dialed Samara. She answered immediately. Hey, risk analyst. What's up? I need a lawyer, I said. I need you to look at some paperwork. I sent her the photos of the deed and loan agreement. Elena, she said, her voice serious. This structure. They were trying to stick you with a liability while removing you from the title. That's predatory. I know. That's why I walked. Good. But be careful. When you cut off the supply to people like this, they don't just get mad. They get desperate. I'm counting on it. I hung up and looked out the window. I had spent my career managing risk but missed the biggest one of all. Loving people who only loved what I could do for them. I turned back to my computer. The balance sheet showed zeros where transfers to my parents used to be. It was a strategic default. I was liquidating my investment in their dysfunction. The fallout arrived in notifications. Started with Bella. I was at my desk analyzing market trends when an Instagram notification popped up. It was a video. Title: When Toxic Family Sabotages Your Dreams. I watched Bella, mascara artfully smeared, whispering to the camera. My own sister. Someone I looked up to. Pulled the rug out from under my housing security just because she's jealous of my success. She wiped a tear that hadn't fallen. The comments were a cesspool of support. I didn't get angry. I hit screen record. In my world, this wasn't drama. It was evidence. I saved it to a folder labeled litigation prep. Then came the parents. My mother left 3 voicemails. First weeping, then bargaining, then the guilt trip about my father's heart. Archived them. Data points. They hadn't realized the money had stopped flowing yet. They were screaming at me from a burning building, thinking the heat was just the sun. They didn't know I'd already cut the waterline. I went to work. Came home. I ate in silence. It was the most peaceful week of my life. Then, on Thursday evening, Samara called. Her voice was sharp. What happened? I asked. Did they try to file the deed? No, Samara said. I was digging through public records and the insurance database. Elena, you told me you've been paying the premiums on a whole life insurance policy for your father, right? As collateral for the $28,000 loan. Yeah, for 5 years. I'm the irrevocable beneficiary. Elena, Samara hesitated. I called the carrier. The policy doesn't exist anymore. The room tilted. What do you mean? It was surrendered. Cashed out. 6 months ago. That's impossible. I'm the beneficiary. He can't cash it out without my signature. That's what I thought. So I asked for the surrender documents. Elena, I'm looking at a waiver of interest form with your signature on it. I didn't sign anything, I whispered. I know. Because the date on this form. You were in London. I saw your posts. The silence was heavy. How much? I asked. The cash surrender value was $42,000. It was deposited into a joint account under Robert and Bella's names. The dots connected instantly. 6 months ago. That was exactly when Bella had suddenly leased her new Range Rover. She bragged about her credit score. She hadn't leased it. They bought it. With money they stole by forging my name. Elena, Samara asked. I'm here. My voice was absolute zero. This wasn't just a bad family dynamic. This was a felony. What do you want to do? We can go to the police. Not yet, I said. The police is a blunt instrument. I want something sharper. Find out exactly how much they owe the bank on the mortgage right now. What are you planning? I'm done playing defense, Samara. I'm going to buy the bank. Hung up. They were playing a game of emotional manipulation. They didn't realize the currency had changed. We were in criminal court now. And I was the prosecutor. I walked into my office on Monday with the focus of a hunter. I wasn't there to work for the firm. I was there to execute a hostile takeover. I had spent the weekend setting up an LLC. Phoenix Asset Management. Generic. Innocent. Samara called at 10. I spoke to the bank's loss mitigation department, she said. They're eager to offload the debt. Without your signature on the refinance, the balloon payment triggered. They're in default. How much? Outstanding principal is $212,000, plus arrears. And the note. Since it's distressed debt, they offered to sell the note for $180,000. I did the math. It would drain almost my entire savings and signing bonus. But it would give me absolute control. Buy it, I said. Elena, are you sure? This is your life savings. I'm buying my freedom, Samara. It's a bargain. By 2 in the afternoon, Phoenix Asset Management was the legal holder of the mortgage note on my parents' house. I was no longer their daughter. I was their lender. And I was calling the loan. I didn't have to wait long. At 3:30, the reception called. Elena, there are 3 people here to see you. They're very upset. They say they're your parents. I checked the security feed. My father red-faced. My mother wringing her hands. Bella, wearing oversized sunglasses. They look small. Without my money propping them up, the facade crumbled. They were desperate. I walked to the lobby. My father spotted me instantly. You, he shouted. You need to fix this. We just got a notice of foreclosure. Dad, I said calmly. Lower your voice. This is a place of business. Don't tell me what to do. You refused to sign, and now the bank is taking the house. I know. You know. Bella pulled down her sunglasses. You don't care. I have brand deals depending on that house. I can't be homeless. Come with me. I led them into the glass-walled conference room. They sat down expecting a checkbook. My mother was already weeping. Elena, please. We just need $20,000 to catch up. No, I said. I sat at the head of the table and opened a folder. I slid a document to my father. What is this? He asked. That is a notice of note purchase. The bank doesn't own your mortgage anymore. He looked up confused. Who owns it? Who is Phoenix Asset Management? I am. The silence was suffocating. You, Bella whispered. You bought the house. I bought the debt, I corrected. Which means you owe me. My father stood up furious. You can't do that. That's my house. Actually, I said, sliding a second document across. It's collateral. Just like the life insurance policy. He froze. It was the copy of the change of beneficiary form with the forged signature. I know what you did, I said softly. I know you forged my name. I know you stole the $42,000 and bought a car for Bella. My mother gasped. Robert, you told me the policy matured. He lied, I said. Just like he lied about the medical bills. I looked at Bella. And you? Driving a stolen car paid for with a felony. I didn't know. Bella shrieked. Possession of stolen property is still a crime, I said. Here are your options. Option A. I report the fraud to the district attorney. Dad goes to prison. Bella gets charged. I foreclose and evict you. My father sank back, defeated. Option B. Option B, I said, sliding the final document. You sign this deed in lieu of foreclosure. You transfer the property to me voluntarily right now. In exchange, I forgive the debt, and I won't press charges. You're taking the house, my mother sobbed. I'm taking what I paid for, I said. I've put nearly $100,000 into that house. Now I'm collecting. Where will we go? Bella asked. Sell the car, I said. Use the money for an apartment. You're an influencer, Bella. Figure it out. I placed the pen on the document. You have 5 minutes, I said. Before I call the police. My father looked at the pen. He looked at me. For the first time, he didn't see a utility. He saw a consequence. He picked up the pen. He signed. The scratch against the paper was the only sound. It wasn't a flourish. It was a surrender. He stood up, heavy and old, and walked out. My mother followed, sobbing. Bella lingered, the ring light in her eyes gone. "You ruined everything," she whispered. "I balanced the books," I said. "Sell the car, Bella. Rent is due on the 1st. She ran after them. I sat alone in the conference room. It was done. The eviction happened fast. Without my money to subsidize the illusion, reality hit them hard. Bella sold the Range Rover. It covered her credit card debt and got her a studio apartment in a part of town she wouldn't be geotagging. Her brand evaporated without the backdrop. My parents moved into a small 2-bedroom rental paid for by my father's pension. A month later, I stood in the empty house. The contractors had gutted the kitchen before the money ran out. The air smelled like stale ambition. I walked through the rooms looking for sadness or nostalgia. I found neither. I realized this building had never been a home. It was just a distressed asset I had been overcapitalizing for years. Called a realtor. List it. Ziz. Cash buyers only. "You don't want the equity?" she asked. "I want the liquidation." I sold it 2 weeks later. The proceeds paid back my savings, recovered the stolen insurance money, and funded the startup costs for my own risk management firm. I sat in my new office, Phoenix Asset Management, real this time, and looked at the final spreadsheet. The financial cost of my family had been $152,000 over 10 years. The emotional cost was incalculable. But as I closed the file, I felt a shift. We are taught that family is a bond that cannot be broken. We are told that blood is thicker than water. But that is a bad contract. Family isn't defined by DNA. It is defined by mutual respect and safety. It is the people who don't require you to bleed to stay in their lives. Cutting the cord wasn't cruelty. It was life-saving surgery. Hurt. But I was alive. And for the first time, my future belonged entirely to me. I deleted the spreadsheet. Have you ever had to buy your own freedom from the people who were supposed to protect you? Tell me your story in the comments. And if you believe in breaking the cycle, share this video.